Today is Tuesday, July 2nd, 2018, and today I want to talk about how fungi is not a fun guy. Hey everybody, it's Emily, and I am going to talk about some fungi going on in the garden, other than this one, the dying cantaloupe plant. And I'm also going to be bringing you along with me to do some of my chores. So let's get some of that done first. First thing on the agenda is whenever you're growing in containers, if you're not doing a self-watering type deal, you need to check for the water situation. And usually by the time it's July, you're pretty much having to water every day. Although this is pretty moist, I'm going to leave it. Peppers do not like wet feet. Peppers would rather have less, they would rather get thirsty a little bit than be overwatered. And since we did have some rain recently, is there an ant nest in here? There might be an ant nest in here. But since we did have rain, yeah, that's moist enough. I might have to water this with liquid Castile soap next time if we've got ants going on. Yeah, these are still plenty moist. Don't need to water those. How about our growing cucumber? I'm going to explain why, what's going on with these leaves a little bit later. It has to do with the fungi. You know, this is pretty moist too. Yay, because I've got cocoa peat down there that'll hold the soil. Alright, well, why don't we move on and talk about our fungi. Well, no, a couple more things. First of all, you haven't heard me talk about blueberries or seen me picking blueberries in any of my vlogs lately, and that is because there really isn't anything more to pick. What has the latecomers, as they ripen, the wasps and stink bugs are getting to them, and there's maybe been a couple cups left. So yeah, I've just been letting those go to the wildlife. It's okay. The blackberries, about every other day I'm getting a cup or two, so I'm very pleased with that. Doing much better this year than the last couple of years, and I plan to do even better next year because I'm going to amend the soil and so on and so forth, make sure there's fertilizer. What about the fungi that are not fun guys? In case this grapevine looks wet, it's because I just sprayed it with hydrogen peroxide. I think I told you on a recent vlog that I've gone back to spraying it because these grapes actually look like, some of them that look like they're actually growing. Now the ones that came out late are doing that. They're shriveling up, and this is a result of that fungus. I can't remember the name of it right now. It starts with a B. I'll write it down right here. Starts with a B. Something rot is the name of it. Butyrus, or I don't know, some weird word. But yeah. But it's not doing great, and you can see there's all sorts of infected leaves, you know, by the holes and by the red spots. But it is doing better than last year, and I believe it is because I did spray it with a fungicide, copper, regularly. So some of these grapes are actually getting bigger. So I want to take care of it for a couple more weeks and just see what happens. If I keep having, even if I just end up with like a cup full of grapes that ripen, hey, that'll be the best crop I've ever had from this vine. And next year what I'm going to do, I will be digging sulfur into the soil to kill off whatever might be in the soil. And I will spray with a fungicide after every period of rain, not just every week. So if we have 3 days in a row when it rains, I'll spray as soon as the chance of rain is gone. And if 2 days later we have more rain, I'll spray after that. I think that's what I need to do in our area, because the air remains so humid after rain that it's just it's a nursery, shall we say, for various fungi that are very fun. They give me more work. But spraying actually isn't that bad. But here's the most recent big concern. And if you're an experienced gardener, you're going to recognize that, and you're going to know what it is. All these little white spots. The cucumber leaf. What's that? Powdery mildew. Now, I have encountered powdery mildew before. I've never sprayed for powdery mildew before. I just usually let it kill the plant. And the reason is that when we were living in North Texas, we would get aphids on the cucumber early in the season, and it got really frustrating. They became impossible to control. So I just, I would enjoy the cucumbers while they lasted, which is, we usually have maybe about a month of where we were eating cucumbers, and then I just let the plants go to nature, like let the powdery mildew get them and stuff. The last couple of times I planted cucumber, I would get some powdery mildew, but not enough to take out a vine. So I'll get back to this, how I'm taking care of that, in a moment. Yep, this is my original date alpha vine. Looks pretty pathetic, huh? Yeah, that is because if it is infected with powdery mildew, you're supposed to cut off all the infected leaves. So I did that yesterday. I melted out here. I mean, my dress was getting wet. It was so hot and humid. I was out here cutting off the worst infected leaves, and I can see that these leaves are all infected. But I feel like I shouldn't take there's a reason there's leaves here, that I shouldn't just take all of them off. I'm not sure that would be good for the vine. But that's why it's looking so naked. The thing is, why did I let the powdery mildew on this plant get so far? It's because, remember how I was having trouble with its SIP bed? The tomatoes and the cucumbers sucking up all the water out of it? Well, a couple of times the reservoir got dry and the soil was starting to dry out before I realized it. So I thought that this vine, that all the leaves were looking pathetic just because it was drying out. Turns out we had two different issues going on. There was the drying out and the powdery mildew, and probably the drying out stressed the plant out more, which might have made the powdery mildew spread. But on this one, you can even see on the stem, see those white streaks. I believe that's from the powdery mildew. Also, it's not supposed to be there. You can see I have a few. See, in all of the fruits, even the smaller ones, they have really big seeds, which means that the vine believes it's dying, so it has to produce the seeds very quickly. So what am I doing to try to save this cucumber and treat the other one? Oh, hydrogen peroxide. I'm using hydrogen peroxide because since this is basically in a giant container, I don't want to get copper in and really mess up the balance of the nutrition in that potting mix. That's number one. Number two, hydrogen peroxide is the most eco-friendly fungicide you can use, and it is supposed to really help with powdery mildew. So I need to spray every single day until I see the symptoms go away. I'm not sure that's going to happen with this one. I might have already lost the vine. I don't know, people, but I'll tell you right now, I'm really, really glad I did not just throw out that other bait alpha that I started. Do you remember that? Did you see that vlog where I was thinking about just throwing it out because I had started that because this vine wasn't producing? Well, this vine started producing, and I thought, well, I don't need another cucumber to take care of. Maybe I'll just throw it out. Redundancy, people. Redundancy. Always have more plants than you think you need because of stuff like this. So what I read to do is you take 35% food-grade hydrogen peroxide, which I do have on hand. You put 2.5 tablespoons per gallon of water in a sprayer, and you spray it. Spray it until it drips. And you do that every day till the powdery mildew is gone. So I'm spraying this and also the dark cucumber plant every day, since actually it does obviously have signs of the beginning signs of powdery mildew. Another thing I want to throw out, that I think this is the first year where we've had just consistent, constant humid day after humid day after humid day, starting in about, I don't know, March or April. We haven't had very many dry days, so the humidity has just hung in the air. I think that's another reason that I've had such a problem with powdery mildew. Another fungus that I will talk to you about in the next video But, and by the way, in case you want to see how my tomatoes are ripening, now some of these look like they have anthracnose if you watched my strawberry video. Tomatoes and peppers both can get anthracnose. Some of these tomatoes are like rotting before they're starting to ripe. But I'm not really concerned right now because most of them are ripening. And I've had that happen before, and it would just be a few fruits. It wouldn't be the whole plant or anything. So, anywho, yep, gonna have lots of tomatoes. So, hydrogen peroxide every day. And now let me explain why these leaves that look so mottled. Yesterday I had a little bit of copper left in the sprayer. I didn't dump it out and rinse it. Maybe I should have. I think that these leaves burned because of the copper hydrogen peroxide mix, or it could be just the hydrogen peroxide anyway because it's a relatively small plant, a young plant. Maybe the hydrogen peroxide just burned it. But I am going to be spraying this one once a week to try to prevent powdery mildew. Okay, last thing I want to share with you on today's vlog. I'm just going to get it done early because it's already hot and humid, and it's not even 8:30, I don't think, yet in the morning. So, you know, I'm not going to be doing a whole lot outside the rest of the day. I thought y'all would like to see my lasagna garden, or I should say like I'm doing all the work myself, right? Our lasagna garden bed. There you go. No, because I didn't show you what it looked like at the very last. So, take this off. So the tarp is covering it, so it'll get nice and hot underneath, so it'll break down faster. There we go. Alright. So, 6 inches of wood, couple inches of the weeds and grass, a few more inches of crumbled leaves, another layer of this, and then another layer of this with banana peels, remember that? And then there was another layer of crumbled leaves, a few inches, and then I topped it off with this. So what I decided to do was let's leave the tarp over it for a month. So at about the beginning of August, I'm going to take off the tarp and see how far down this is composted. If it's gone down 3 to 4 inches, we'll put more material on it, cover it back up, and let it compost some more. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to basically fill all the beds up level and maybe a little bit higher, you know, mound it up a little bit more, and then just, you know, take our time, let it compost a little, add more material, and so on. So that way it won't be so overwhelming. With that, I'm going to wrap up today's vlog. Thanks a lot for watching. If you appreciated any of the tips or information, or in general found it entertaining, you can go ahead and click the thumbs up button. Also share this video with your online networks, and I thank you in advance for doing so. If you haven't subscribed and you want to follow my gardening journey and or get lots of simple and sustainable living tips, make sure you subscribe. I'll see you for the next video. In the meantime, take care and happy cucumber growing. Get on top of that powdery mildew before it happens.